I found the torn pieces of my plane ticket in the kitchen trash at 7 in the morning, buried beneath coffee grounds and yesterday's wilted salad. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely fit the fragments together on the counter. Air France. JFK to Charles de Gaulle. Departure. 11:45 p.m. tonight. My name Sophia Durant printed across the top in bold letters. Ripped deliberately, methodically into 12 pieces. 5 hours until my graduation. 5 hours until I was supposed to walk across that stage, shake the dean's hand, and collect the degree I'd spent 4 years bleeding for. And 16 hours until I was supposed to board that plane to Paris. To the internship at Laurent and Associates that would change my entire life. Drop your city in the comments, let's see how far this story travels. And if you've ever had a parent sabotage your dreams, hit that like button, you're not alone. My mother's voice drifted from the living room, light and unconcerned. Sophia, darling, breakfast is ready. You don't want to be late for photos. I stood there in my pajamas, staring at the shredded paper, my throat closing. The kitchen smelled like vanilla and cinnamon, her special French toast, the kind she only made on important days. The morning light filtered through the lace curtains she'd imported from some boutique in Connecticut, casting delicate shadows across the marble countertops. Everything in our house looked perfect. Everything always looked perfect. I picked up one fragment. The seat number, 24A, window seat. I'd requested it specifically because I wanted to watch New York disappear beneath me as I flew toward everything I'd ever wanted. Sophia? Her voice again. Closer now. Your father and brother are waiting. I heard her heels clicking across the hardwood floor. Louboutins, probably. The ones she wore when she wanted to look elegant and maternal. I quickly swept the ticket pieces into my palm and shoved them into my pajama pocket just as she appeared in the doorway. Vivian Cross, she'd kept her maiden name even after marrying my father. Said it sounded more sophisticated, stood framed in the archway like she was posing for a magazine spread. At 53, she was still stunning. Silver blonde hair perfectly blown out, cream silk blouse tucked into tailored navy pants, minimal jewelry except for the diamond studs that caught the light. She looked at me with those pale blue eyes that could shift from warm to glacial in a heartbeat. There you are, she said, smiling. I was beginning to think you'd overslept. Big day. Yeah. My voice came out hoarse. Big day. She moved toward me, and I instinctively stepped back. Her smile faltered for just a fraction of a second before smoothing back into place. Are you feeling all right? You look pale. I'm fine. Nerves, I'm sure. Graduation jitters. Completely normal. She reached out and tucked a strand of my dark hair behind my ear, her fingers cool against my skin. I remember my own graduation. Columbia, 1993. Your grandmother cried through the entire ceremony. So embarrassing. I'd heard this story 100 times. Vivian loved talking about her Columbia days, her degree in art history, the sophisticated life she'd built in Manhattan before meeting my father. She wore her Ivy League education like armor. I need to shower, I said, pulling away. Of course. But eat something first. You'll need your strength for all those photos. Her hand lingered on my shoulder. And Sophia? We need to talk later. About Paris. My stomach dropped. What about Paris? Later, she said, her smile sharp. After graduation. Family discussion. She glided out of the kitchen, leaving behind the faint scent of her perfume. Chanel No. 5, classic and expensive. I waited until I heard her heels retreat down the hallway before pulling the ticket fragments from my pocket and spreading them across the counter again. $1,600. That's what this ticket had cost. I'd bought it with my own money I'd saved from 3 years of internships, tutoring sessions, and weekend shifts at the campus library. I'd checked my bank account obsessively for weeks to make sure I had enough. I'd printed the confirmation email and kept it in my desk drawer, reading it every night before bed like a prayer. Paris. 6 months at Laurent and Associates, one of the most prestigious cultural heritage law firms in Europe. Maya Laurent herself had handpicked me from 200 applicants after I'd written a thesis on the legal complexities of returning looted art. This was my shot. My one golden impossible shot, and my mother had thrown it away. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. Hands still shaking. The confirmation was still there, flight F007. Departing tonight at 11:45 p.m. I could reprint the boarding pass. I could still go. The ticket itself was just paper. The reservation was digital. But why had she done this? I heard laughter from the dining room, my brother Damien's voice, loud and careless. My father's quieter chuckle. They were probably talking about Damien's new Tesla, or his promotion at the investment firm, or his girlfriend Ashley who worked in fashion PR. Damien was 28, 4 years older than me, and he'd never had to save for anything in his life. Everything just appeared for him. The car, the apartment in Tribeca, the cushy job arranged through one of Dad's college friends. If you're the family scapegoat while your sibling gets everything handed to them, drop a comment below. Let's build a community here. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a story. I grabbed my phone and locked myself in the downstairs bathroom, the only place in this house where I could breathe. I sat on the closed toilet lid and pulled up my banking app, my checking account. $3,847.52. Enough for my first month's rent in Paris, groceries, metro passes. I'd budgeted everything down to the euro, but something felt wrong. I navigated to my savings account, the one I'd opened at 16 with my grandmother's inheritance. The one that should have had $23,000 in it. Money I'd never touched, saving it for emergencies, for my future, for the life I was building. The screen loaded. Balance. 4,200. I stared at the number, refreshed the page, checked again. 4,200. My grandmother had left me $20,000 when she died my senior year of high school. I'd added to it over the years birthday money, graduation gifts, summer job paychecks. I checked this account maybe twice a year, just to see it growing, to remind myself I had something of my own. Nearly $19,000. Gone. The bathroom tilted. I gripped the edge of the sink, my reflection pale and wild-eyed in the mirror. This wasn't possible. There had to be a mistake. Bank error. Fraud. I scrolled through the transaction history with numb fingers. 3 years of withdrawals. All of them in round numbers. $2,000. $1,500. $3,000. $2,500. Dozens of them. Dating back to my sophomore year of college, each one labeled transfer to V. Cross. V. Cross. Vivian Cross. My mother. The room spun. I put my head between my knees and tried to breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Count to 4. The therapist I'd seen briefly during my junior year back when the anxiety got so bad I couldn't sleep had taught me this technique. I'd stopped going after 3 sessions because my mother said therapy was self-indulgent and only for people who couldn't handle their own problems. My phone buzzed. A text from Owen Martinez, my best friend from law school. Big day. You ready to be a college graduate? Call me after the ceremony. I want to hear everything. Owen. God, Owen would know what to do. He was already working at a firm in Brooklyn, had passed the bar last summer. He was sharp and loyal and the only person I trusted completely. I typed back with shaking hands. Can you talk? Emergency. The response came in seconds. Call now. I dialed, and he picked up on the first ring. What's wrong? No preamble. No jokes. Owen could read my tone like sheet music. My mom stole from me. The words stumbled out in a harsh whisper. My savings account. Nearly $20,000. She's been taking money for 3 years. Silence on the other end. Then, are you absolutely sure? I'm looking at the transaction history right now. Every withdrawal has her name on it. Jesus, Sophia. I heard him moving, probably pacing. Does she have access to your account? She's been on it since I opened it. I was 16. You need a parent as a co-signer. I just never thought. My voice cracked. I never thought she'd steal from me. This is bank fraud. Wire fraud. Theft. Sophia. This is criminal. I can't think about that right now. I need to graduate in 5 hours and get on a plane to Paris tonight. And Owen. She threw away my ticket. I found it in the trash this morning. Another pause. When Owen spoke again, his voice was hard. She's trying to trap you there. What? Think about it. You're about to leave, really leave. Paris for 6 months. Maybe longer if this internship turns into something. She can't control you if you're in another country. So she destroys your ticket and makes it look like an accident or some kind of sign that you shouldn't go. And with your savings drained, you can't afford to buy a new ticket or support yourself when you get there. The truth of it hit me like cold water. She wants me dependent. Bingo. I closed my eyes. Images flashed through my mind. My mother insisting I stay home for college instead of going to Brown. The way she'd forgotten to send in my housing deposit my freshman year, so I had to scramble for a dorm room. How she called me 3 times a day during my first semester, claiming she was having panic attacks and needed me to come home. The summer after sophomore year when I'd gotten an internship in DC, and she'd shown up unannounced, crying about how lonely she was, how the house felt empty. How could I abandon her like this? I'd come home after 2 weeks. She'd been so happy. Sophia? You still there? Yeah. I swallowed hard. What do I do? First, change all your passwords and remove her from that account immediately. Call the bank, explain that unauthorized withdrawals have been made, and open a new account she can't access. Second, print a new boarding pass for your flight. Third, and I'm serious about this, do not tell her any of your plans. Not where you're staying in Paris, not your phone number or nothing. If she's willing to steal 20 grand from you, there's no line she won't cross. She's my mother. She's a thief. Owen's voice softened. I'm sorry. I know this is awful, but you have to protect yourself. I heard a knock on the bathroom door. My father's voice, gentle and mild. Sophia, you've been in there a while. Everything okay? Fine. I called out, my voice falsely bright. Just doing my makeup. Take your time, sweetheart. We're just having breakfast. His footsteps retreated. Charles Durant, certified public accountant, devoted husband, enabler of every single thing my mother did. He never argued with her, never contradicted her, just smiled and nodded and paid for whatever she wanted. The perfect accessory to her perfect life. Had he known about the money? Of course he had. He handled all our family finances. Owen, I have to go. Wait, do you need money? I can wire, you know. I have enough in my checking account to get by for now. I just need to get through today. Call me after graduation. Promise me. I promise. I hung up and stared at myself in the mirror. My dark hair was a mess, my eyes red-rimmed, my face pale. I looked nothing like my mother. I'd inherited my father's Italian coloring, his brown eyes, his olive skin. Vivian used to joke that I was a mailman's daughter. Ha ha ha, so funny. But there was always an edge to it, a subtle implication that I didn't quite fit into her aesthetic. I splashed cold water on my face and opened the bathroom door. The house was quiet, that specific kind of quiet that happens when people are pretending everything is normal. I could hear the clink of silverware, the murmur of conversation, my mother's laugh like wind chimes. I walked into the dining room. They were all there. Vivian at the head of the table, Damien to her right, my father to her left. The table was set beautifully, fresh flowers in a crystal vase, the good china, cloth napkins folded into elegant triangles, French toast, berries, freshly squeezed orange juice. A celebration breakfast for the college graduate. My mother looked up and smiled. There she is, the graduate. Come sit, darling. Everything's getting cold. I sat down across from Damien, who was scrolling through his phone with one hand and shoveling French toast into his mouth with the other. He barely glanced at me. Big day, little sister, he said around a mouthful of food. Finally joining the real world. Chew with your mouth closed, Damien, Vivian said absently, then turned to me. I was just telling your father that we should have a family photo session before the ceremony. The lighting in the garden is perfect right now. Sure, I said. My voice sounded strange, flat and distant. And then afterward, we'll come back here for a late lunch. I've ordered from that Italian place you love. We can talk about next steps. Your father has some ideas about job opportunities. I have a job, I said. In Paris. The temperature in the room dropped by 10 degrees. We'll discuss it, Vivian said, her smile frozen in place. After graduation, there's nothing to discuss. I'm leaving tonight. Damien looked up from his phone, suddenly interested. My father carefully set down his fork. Sophia, Vivian said, very quietly. This is not the time. When is the time? After you've destroyed all my documents? After you've hidden my passport? I have no idea what you're talking about. My plane ticket. You threw it away. For a moment, just a flicker, I saw something in her eyes. Satisfaction. She'd wanted me to find it. Wanted me to feel trapped. Then the mask slipped back into place. That old thing? Sweetheart, I thought it was trash. It was just sitting on the counter, and I was cleaning up. It was in my room. In my desk drawer. You must be misremembering. You're stressed. It's understandable, don't. I stood up, my chair scraping against the hardwood. Don't gaslight me. I know what you did. My father cleared his throat. Sophia, maybe we should all calm down, did you know? I turned to him. About the money she stole from me. His face went carefully blank. I don't know what you mean. My savings account. $19,000 gone. Transferred to her over 3 years. You handle all our finances, Dad. Did you know? The silence was deafening. Damien broke it with a low whistle. 19,000? Damn. That's cold, Mom. Shut up, Damien. Vivian snapped, then turned to me. Her eyes were ice. That money was never yours. Your grandmother left it to me, and I put it in your account for safekeeping. I've been using it to pay for your expenses, your tuition, your books, your rent. I had a full scholarship, and I paid my own rent, additional expenses, things you don't even know about. This family has supported you for 24 years, Sophia. Did you think that was free? I actually laughed. It came out harsh and bitter. So you stole from me to cover expenses you made up? That's your defense? I suggest you watch your tone, or what? You'll steal more from me? Destroy more of my things? My father stood up. Sophia, that's enough. Apologize to your mother. Are you kidding me right now? She's done everything for you. We both have. And this is how you repay us? With accusations and disrespect. I looked at him, really looked at him. Mild-mannered Charles Dorrant, with his wire-rimmed glasses and his sensible haircut and his complete inability to stand up to his wife. He'd known. Of course he'd known. He'd probably helped her rationalize it. It's for her own good. She needs to learn to appreciate family. We're just protecting her. I'm done, I said. I'm graduating today, and I'm getting on that plane tonight, and I'm going to Paris, and you're never hearing from me again. You're being dramatic, Vivian said, but there was an edge of panic in her voice now. You can't just leave. What about your student loans? Your health insurance? You're still on our family plan. I'll figure it out. With what money? She leaned forward. You have maybe $4,000 in your account. Do you think that's enough to survive in Paris? To pay first and last month's rent, security deposit, food, transportation? You'll be broke in 2 weeks. Then I'll be broke. You'll fail. You'll come crawling back here, begging us to take you in. And you know what? We might not. Actions have consequences, Sophia. I met her eyes. Yeah, they do. I walked out of the dining room, up the stairs, and into my bedroom. I could hear my mother's voice rising behind me, my father trying to calm her down, Damien laughing at the drama. I didn't care. I was done caring. My bedroom was exactly as I'd left it, neat and impersonal, like a hotel room. Vivian had redecorated it last year while I was away at school, replacing my band posters and bookshelves with tasteful beige walls and minimalist furniture. You're an adult now, she'd said. Your room should reflect that. I pulled my largest suitcase from the closet and started packing. Clothes, shoes, toiletries, my laptop, my chargers, my notebooks. The framed photo of my grandmother, the only family picture I wanted to keep. My passport tucked safely in my nightstand drawer. Thank God. My phone buzzed. Owen. Status update? Me. Confronted her. Leaving tonight as planned. We'll call after graduation. Owen. Proud of you. Stay strong. I was zipping up the suitcase when I heard footsteps in the hallway. My father appeared in the doorway, looking tired and old. Sophia, he said. Please don't do this. Do what? Leave? Grow up? Have my own life? You're angry. I understand. But your mother loves you. She stole from me, Dad. She destroyed my property. That's not love. He rubbed his face. It's complicated. She's been struggling lately. Worried about you leaving. Worried about being alone once you and Damien are gone. Damien lives in Tribeca. He barely visits. Exactly. She's afraid of losing you too, so she stole my money. She borrowed it. We were going to pay you back when? After I'd given up on Paris and settled for some job here. After I'd become as trapped as you are. He flinched. That's not fair, isn't it? I slung my backpack over my shoulder. You've been letting her control everything for my entire life. Every decision I made, she had to approve. Every friend I had, she had to vet. Every plan I had for my future, she had to manage. And you just stood there and let it happen. I was trying to keep the peace, you were taking the easy way out. I picked up my suitcase. I love you, Dad, but I can't do this anymore. I can't live my life trying to make her happy. It's never enough. I'm never enough. His eyes were wet. You're my daughter, then let me go. I walked past him, down the stairs, and out the front door. The May morning was beautiful, sunny and warm, with birds singing in the oak trees that line our street. Our neighborhood was the kind of place where every house looked the same, colonial style, perfect lawns, two-car garages. Affluent and sterile and suffocating. I put my suitcase in the trunk of my beat-up Honda, the only thing I owned outright. Bought with my own money, and drove away. I didn't look back. If you've ever had to choose yourself over toxic family, drop a comment. You're not alone. Subscribe for more real stories about breaking free and finding your own path. I spent the next 4 hours at a coffee shop near campus, methodically handling everything Owen had told me to do. I called the bank and reported the fraudulent transactions. I filed a dispute. I removed my mother from my account and opened a new one at a completely different bank. I changed every password, email, social media, student portal, everything. I called my phone company and set up a new plan under my own name. Then I called Maya Lauren.it was PM in New York, which meant PM in Paris. Maya answered on the third ring, her voice warm and slightly amused. Sophia Durant. I was wondering when I would hear from you. Are you excited for tomorrow? About that, I said, and explained everything. The stolen money, the destroyed ticket, the confrontation. I kept my voice steady, professional. I was not going to cry. Not now. When I finished, there was a long pause. Your mother sounds like a very frightened woman, Maya said finally. She's a thief. She is both. I heard the clink of a glass of wine, probably. I have seen this before, Sophia. Parents who cannot bear to let their children surpass them. It is not about money. It is about control. I don't care what it's about. I just need to know if the offer still stands. Of course it stands. I chose you because you are brilliant and determined. What happens with your family does not change that. Her voice softened. But I want you to understand what you are choosing. If you come to Paris tonight, and I hope you do, you will be choosing yourself. Your mother will not forgive this. She will try to pull you back. Are you prepared for that? I thought about Vivian's face across the breakfast table. The cold calculation in her eyes. Yes, I said. I'm ready. Good. Then I will see you Monday morning. I have a small apartment in the Marais that you can use for your first month. Consider it part of your welcome package. We will discuss the details when you arrive. Maya, I can't. You can and you will. No arguing with your new boss. I could hear the smile in her voice. Welcome to Laurent and Associates, Sophia. I think you will do wonderful things here. I hung up and allowed myself exactly 1 minute to put my head on the coffee shop table and shake. Then I straightened up, ordered another coffee, and printed my boarding pass. At 3:30 p.m. I drove to campus. Graduation was being held in the main quad, a sprawling green space surrounded by historic buildings. Families were already gathering, parents in sundresses and khakis, siblings holding balloons, grandparents settling into folding chairs. Everyone looked happy and normal and proud. I parked in the student lot and sat in my car for a moment, watching the crowd. My phone buzzed, a text from Vivian. Where are you? We're saving you a seat. I turned off my phone. I found Owen near the student center, handsome in his suit and tie, holding a bouquet of sunflowers. For the graduate, he said, handing them to me. I hugged him hard. Thank you. You okay? I will be. We walked toward the staging area where graduates were lining up in their caps and gowns. The late afternoon sun cast everything in golden light. The air smelled like cut grass and perfume and possibility. Did you really file a police report? Owen asked quietly. Not yet. But I will. After I'm safely in Paris, good. Because what she did, Sophia, it's not just wrong. It's illegal. She needs to face consequences. I know. I adjusted my cap. Part of me still can't believe she did it. Like, I always knew she was controlling. But this is who she is, Owen said gently. You just finally have proof. The line was forming. I could see my fellow graduates, people I'd spent 4 years with, studying and stressing and celebrating. We were all about to walk across that stage and become official adults, launch ourselves into the world. Most of them had families in the audience, cheering them on. I had Owen and a bouquet of sunflowers and a plane ticket in my pocket. It was enough. The ceremony began at p.m. We processed into pomp and circumstance. The most kitsch and perfect graduation song ever written. The dean gave a speech about futures and potential. The valedictorian, a nervous guy named Marcus, who'd maintained a 4.0 while working 2 jobs, talked about resilience and hope. And then they started calling names. Sophia Maria Dorrant. I walked across the stage in my black gown and ridiculous flat cap, shook the dean's hand, and accepted my diploma. A psychology degree with a focus on cultural studies. 4 years of work, compressed into a single sheet of paper. I looked out at the audience, scanning the rows of faces, and there she was, Vivian, sitting in the 3rd row, dressed in white like she was the one graduating. My father beside her. Damien slouched in his seat looking bored. She'd come anyway. Of course she'd come. She would never miss an opportunity to be seen as the proud mother. Our eyes met across the crowd. I smiled. Not a kind smile. Not a forgiving smile. A smile that said, I won. Then I walked off the stage and back to my seat. If you've ever had a moment where you realized you were stronger than the people who tried to break you, like this video. And subscribe because the story isn't over yet. After the ceremony, I avoided the crowd and went straight to my car. Owen walked with me, carrying my cap and gown while I clutched my diploma and the sunflowers. You're not going to say goodbye to them? He asked. No, good. At my car, he hugged me one more time. Text me when you land. And Sophia, I'm proud of you. You're doing the hard thing, the right thing. I'm terrified. That's how you know it matters. I drove to the airport. JFK was chaos, families reuniting, business travelers rushing to gates, the constant hum of announcements and rolling suitcases. I checked my bag, got my boarding pass, and went through security. My flight didn't leave for 6 hours, but I didn't want to risk anything going wrong. I found a quiet corner near my gate and finally turned my phone back on. 43 missed calls. 31 text messages, 12 voicemails, all from my mother. I deleted them without reading or listening. There was one message from my father. I'm sorry for all of it. I should have protected you. I hope you find what you're looking for in Paris. Love, Dad. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed back. Thank you. I love you too. But I need space. I hit send and then blocked his number. It hurt. God, it hurt. But Owen was right, I had to protect myself. I bought a mediocre sandwich and a bottle of water and sat near my gate, watching planes take off through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Somewhere out there was Paris. The Marais apartment Maya had mentioned. The office at Laurent and Associates. A city full of museums and cafes and people who didn't know anything about Vivian Cross or her perfect house or her stolen money. A fresh start. At p.m. They called my boarding group. I gathered my things and stood in line, clutching my passport and boarding pass. The gate agent scanned my ticket and smiled. Have a wonderful flight, Miss Dorrant. I walked down the jetway and onto the plane, seat 24A, window seat. I tucked my backpack under the seat in front of me, fastened my seatbelt, and looked out at the tarmac. It was dark now, the airport lit up with thousands of lights. Ground crew loading luggage, fuel trucks driving past. Everything moving with purpose. The plane filled up around me. A businessman in 24B, already on his laptop. A young couple in 24C and 24D, holding hands and whispering excitedly. First time in Paris, probably. Honeymoon or anniversary or just adventure. The flight attendants did their safety demonstration. The pilot came on the intercom. Captain Anderson, 20 years of experience, smooth flight expected. And then we were moving, pulling away from the gate, taxiing toward the runway. The lights of JFK blurred past my window. We paused at the head of the runway. The engines roared to life, and we lifted off. I watched New York fall away beneath me, the glittering sprawl of the city, the dark ribbon of the Hudson, the highways like veins of light. Everything I'd known, everything I was leaving behind. I thought about my mother, probably at home right now, furious and panicking, calling my phone over and over, demanding that my father do something, blaming me for ruining the family. I thought about the money she'd stolen, the trust she'd broken, the years of manipulation I'd finally escaped. And I thought about what came next. On Monday, I would walk into Laurent and Associates. I would meet my colleagues, set up my desk, begin the work I'd dreamed about for years. I would learn and grow and prove that I belonged there. But before that, tomorrow morning, when the bank opened, I was filing a formal complaint. Wire fraud, theft, unauthorized access. Owen had already drafted the paperwork. I was going to make sure Vivian faced consequences, not because I was angry, though I was. Not because I wanted revenge, though part of me did, but because she needed to learn that actions have consequences. Her words thrown back at her, the plane leveled off. The seatbelt sign dinged off. The flight attendants came by with drinks. I ordered a glass of red wine. My first drink as an official college graduate. I pulled out my laptop and opened a new document. To whom it may concern. I am writing to report a series of fraudulent transactions. I wrote for an hour, detailing everything. The dates, the amounts, the pattern of theft. I attached a bank statements I'd downloaded earlier. I included my mother's full name, her address, my father's name as an accomplice. When I finished, I saved it and attached it to an email to Owen with a note. File this Monday morning. Don't tell me about the fallout. I don't want to know. Then I closed my laptop and looked out the window. We were over the ocean now. Nothing but darkness below, stars above. Somewhere ahead, dawn was breaking over Europe, over Paris. I finished my wine and reclined my seat. The couple in 24C and 24D had fallen asleep, her head on his shoulder. The businessman was still working, the glow of his screen illuminating his face, and me, Sophia Dorrant, 24 years old, college graduate. Orphaned by choice, I was flying toward a future I'd built with my own hands. My phone had one last bar of service before we lost connection to American cell towers. A final text from Owen. Safe travels. You're doing the right thing. Proud of you. And one more message. Time-stamped 10 minutes ago. From a number I didn't recognize. I opened it. This is your brother. Mom is losing it. Dad locked himself in his office. I found the bank statements. She really did steal from you, didn't she? I'm sorry I didn't believe you at breakfast. For what it's worth, I think you're brave as hell for leaving. Don't come back for them. Come back when you're ready. If you're ever ready. Damiani read it 3 times. Then I turned off my phone and closed my eyes. The plane hummed around me, carrying me across the Atlantic at 500 miles per hour. Carrying me toward art galleries and cobblestone streets and croissants from corner bakeries. Toward Maya Laurent and her wise smile and her small apartment in the Marais. Toward a life where I got to choose. I thought about my grandmother, the one who'd left me that inheritance, who'd always told me I was special, who'd believed I could do anything. She died when I was 17, before she could see me graduate, before she could know what her gift would mean to me. But she'd known. Somehow, she'd known I would need it. Need that escape hatch, that safety net, that proof that someone believed in me. Thank you, Nana. I whispered to the darkness. The plane flew on through the night. When I woke up, the cabin was filled with soft morning light. We were descending. Below us, I could see the patchwork of French countryside, green fields, small villages, roads winding through hills, and then, in the distance, Paris. The Eiffel Tower rose above the skyline, impossibly elegant even from this height. The Seine snaked through the city like a silver ribbon. Buildings with gray slate roofs stretched as far as I could see. I pressed my forehead against the window and smiled. We landed at Charles de Gaulle at 1:47 p.m. local time. Sunday afternoon in Paris. I gathered my things, filed off the plane with the other passengers, and stepped into the terminal. Everything was in French, the signs, The announcements, the conversations swirling around me. I'd studied French for 6 years, but hearing it spoken naturally, rapidly, all around me was overwhelming and thrilling. I made it through customs, collected my luggage, and emerged into the arrivals hall. Families reuniting, taxi drivers holding signs, the smell of coffee and fresh bread from a nearby cafe. My phone buzzed as it connected to international service. A message from Maya. Welcome to Paris. The apartment address is 23 Rue des Rosiers, 4th arrondissement. Keys are with the concierge, Madame Blanc. She's expecting you. Rest today, we'll talk Monday. I pulled up Google Maps and navigated to the RER train that would take me into the city. The ticket machine was entirely in French, and it took me 3 tries to figure out the right fare. But eventually I had a ticket clutched in my hand. The train rumbled through suburbs and then underground. Emerging in the heart of Paris, I got off at Châtelet and transferred to the metro, following the signs for Line 1. Everything was old and beautiful: tiled walls, Art Nouveau entrances, the screech of trains echoing through tunnels. I emerged at St. Paul station into brilliant May sunshine. The Marais. I'd read about this neighborhood, the historic Jewish quarter, now one of the most charming areas in Paris. Narrow medieval streets, falafel shops, vintage boutiques, art galleries. I walked slowly down Rue des Rosiers, my suitcase bumping over cobblestones, taking it all in. Number 23 was a beautiful old building with a blue door and window boxes full of geraniums. I pressed the buzzer for the concierge. A woman's voice crackled through the intercom. Oui, bonjour, je suis Sophia Durant. Maya Laurent. The door buzzed open before I could finish. Madame Blanc was in her 70s, tiny and elegant in a cardigan and pearls. She looked me up and down, nodded once, and handed me a set of keys. 3rd floor, apartment C, she said in heavily accented English. No parties, no noise after 10 p.m. Trash goes in the bins in the courtyard. Welcome to Paris, Mademoiselle. Merci, Madame Blanc. She waved me off and disappeared back into her ground floor apartment. I climbed 3 flights of narrow stairs, my suitcase banging against the walls. An unlocked apartment C.It was perfect. Small, maybe 400 square feet, but flooded with light from 2 tall windows. Exposed wooden beams on the ceiling, herringbone floors, a tiny kitchen with blue tile and copper pots hanging on the wall. A daybed covered in colorful pillows, a desk tucked under one window, a bathroom with a clawfoot tub. I set down my suitcase and walked to the window. Below me, Rue des Rosiers bustled with Sunday afternoon life. Couples strolling hand in hand, families with children, tourists taking photos. Across the street, a bakery with a line out the door. The smell of fresh bread drifted up through my open window. I sat on the daybed and finally let myself cry. Not sad tears. Relief, exhaustion, overwhelming, terrifying, wonderful freedom. I'd done it. I'd actually done it. If you've ever cried tears of relief after escaping something toxic, you know this feeling. Drop a heart in the comments. You made it. You're stronger than you think. I unpacked slowly, hanging my clothes in the small wardrobe, setting up my laptop on the desk, arranging my toiletries in the bathroom, making the space mine. Then I ventured out. The neighborhood was magical. I walked without any plan, just following streets that looked interesting. I found a park Place des Vosges with perfectly manicured gardens and arcaded buildings. I found a bookstore with English paperbacks. I found a cafe with outdoor seating where I ordered a coffee and a croissant and sat in the sunshine, watching Paris happen around me. No one knew me here. No one had expectations of me. I was just another person in the crowd. My phone buzzed. Owen, did you land? Are you safe? Me. In Paris. In the apartment. It's perfect, Owen. I'm filing the paperwork first thing Monday morning. Are you sure you want to go through with this? I looked around at the cafe, at the people laughing and talking, at the waiter delivering wine to the table next to mine. At this life I was building. Me. Yes, do it, Owen. Consider it done. Proud of you, Sophia. I finished my coffee and walked some more. The sun was setting, painting the buildings gold and pink. I found the Seine and walked along the river, watching boats glide past. Street vendors packing up their stalls of used books and vintage posters. I thought about my mother. Probably calling lawyers right now. Probably furious that I'd actually left. Probably planning how to get me back. But I was an ocean away now. She couldn't reach me here. I ate dinner at a small restaurant, Coq au Vin, and a glass of red wine, practicing my rusty French with the patient waiter. Then I walked home through the darkening streets, back to my apartment on Rue des Rosiers. I took a bath in the clawfoot tub, washing away 24 hours of travel and stress. I changed into pajamas and climbed into the daybed, pulling the soft duvet up to my chin. Through the window, I could hear the sounds of the city, distant sirens, laughter from a nearby bar, the rumble of a passing motorbike. I pulled out my phone one last time. 3 new voicemails from my mother's number. I deleted them without listening. 1 email from my father. Please just let us know you're safe. We're worried. I didn't respond. And 1 text from Damien. Mom hired a private investigator to find you. Thought you should know. Stay safe. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I blocked every number associated with my family, mother, father, even Damien, despite his warning. I needed a clean break. Complete. I opened my email and found the one I'd been waiting for, the confirmation that my complaint had been filed with the bank, that an investigation was opening. Owen had done his part. Now it was out of my hands. I set my phone on the nightstand and turned off the light. Tomorrow I would start my new job, meet Maya and my new colleagues, begin the work that would define my career. But tonight, I just needed to sleep. I closed my eyes and listened to Paris outside my window. And for the first time in years, I felt safe. Monday morning, I woke to sunlight streaming through the windows and the smell of fresh bread from the bakery below. I dressed carefully: black pants, white blouse, minimal jewelry. Professional but not stuffy. Laurent and Associates was a 10-minute walk from my apartment, housed in a beautiful 18th century building near the Pompidou Center. The office took up the entire 3rd floor: high ceilings, original moldings, modern furniture mixed with antique pieces. Maya was waiting in the reception area. She was in her early 50s, striking rather than beautiful, with silver-streaked dark hair pulled into a low bun and tortoiseshell glasses. She wore a perfectly tailored burgundy suit and heels that clicked authoritatively on the marble floor. "Sophia," she said, extending her hand. "Welcome. How was your flight?" "Long, but good. And the apartment?" "It's perfect. Thank you. You didn't have to nonsense. I remember what it's like to start over in a new city with limited funds. Consider it an investment in your future." She gestured for me to follow. "Come, let me show you around." The office was bustling: lawyers in consultation rooms, assistants carrying files, the quiet hum of productivity. Maya introduced me to what felt like dozens of people. Felipe, the senior partner. Amelie, who specialized in Nazi-looted art. Jean-Claude, who handled provenance research. Everyone was welcoming but busy. This was a serious place. Important work happened here. My desk was in a corner office with 2 other junior associates, both French, both friendly but reserved. Maya gave me a stack of files to review, explained the office systems, and left me to it. I spent the day reading case files and taking notes. Provenance disputes, restitution claims, authentication challenges. It was complex and fascinating, and exactly what I'd hoped for. At tea lunch, Amelie invited me to join her at a nearby cafe. Over jam and beurre sandwiches, she asked about my background, my thesis, my experience. She didn't pry into my personal life, didn't ask why I'd come to Paris so suddenly. Just welcomed me as a colleague. It was refreshing. That evening, I walked home through the Marais feeling exhausted but accomplished. My phone had been mercifully quiet all day. No calls from America, no drama. Just work emails and a text from Owen. "How was day 1? "Me? Amazing. I think I'm going to love it here." Owen. "Update from this end. Your mother has been calling the police to report you as a missing person. They're not taking it seriously since you're 24 and left of your own free will. She also called me, demanding to know where you are. I told her to speak to her lawyer." My stomach tightened. "Did she threaten you?" "Owen. She tried. I reminded her that I'm a lawyer too and that she's currently under investigation for bank fraud." She hung up. I smiled grimly. Vivian was used to getting her way through intimidation and tears. She wasn't used to people who couldn't be manipulated. Emmy. Thank you for dealing with that. Owen. That's what friends are for. Now go enjoy Paris. I stopped at the bakery below my apartment and bought a baguette and some cheese. At the wine shop next door, I asked for a recommendation and the owner sold me a bottle of Bordeaux, explaining the region and the vintage in patient French English. Back in my apartment, I ate my simple dinner at the desk by the window, watching the street below. The evening light was soft and golden. People walked past carrying groceries, flowers, briefcases, living their lives. This was my life now too. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to rebuild from scratch, subscribe to this channel. There are more stories like this, more journeys of breaking free and finding yourself. You're part of this community now. The first week passed in a blur. Work during the day, exploring Paris in the evenings. I learned the metro system, found my favorite bakery, discovered a used bookstore that had an entire section of English paperbacks. I practiced French with patient shopkeepers and built a routine. Maya checked in regularly but gave me space to find my footing. You're doing well, she said Friday afternoon. Better than well, actually. The research you did on the Klimt case was excellent. Thank you. You're trying to prove yourself. I understand. But Sophia, you already proved yourself. That's why you're here. Now just do the work and let yourself enjoy it. It was the kindest thing anyone had said to me in months that evening. I treated myself to dinner at a real restaurant, not just a cafe or takeout, but a proper meal with multiple courses. I sat alone at a small table, ordered in my improving French, and savored every bite. Halfway through my entry, my phone rang. Unknown number, American area code. I let it go to voicemail. 5 minutes later, it rang again. Same number. I answered. Hello? Sophia, my mother's voice, tight with barely controlled fury. Finally, we need to talk. No. We don't. Don't hang up. I know about the complaint you filed, the fraud investigation. Do you have any idea what you've done? I reported a crime. Multiple crimes, actually. This is absurd. That money was for family expenses, $19,000 in unauthorized withdrawals from my account. That's theft, Vivian. And you know it. She actually gasped at my use of her first name. I am your mother. You're a thief who tried to sabotage my future because you can't stand the idea of me being independent. That's not a mother. That's a villain. How dare you? How did you get this number? Silence. Then, I have resources. You can't just disappear, Sophia. You're still my daughter. Legally, yes. In every way that matters, no. I kept my voice calm even. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to return every penny you stole. You're going to close that investigation by admitting what you did and paying restitution. And you're never going to contact me again. Or what? Or I press criminal charges. Owen has all the documentation ready. Wire fraud is a federal crime, Vivian. You could go to prison. Another silence. I could practically hear her recalculating. You wouldn't do that to your own family. Watch me. Your father will be ruined. His reputation, his business, then he should have stopped you. He's complicit in this. You both are. Sophia, please. Her voice shifted, went soft and pleading. I know I made mistakes. I was just so scared of losing you. Can't we work this out? Come home. We'll talk. We'll fix this. I am home. And there's nothing to fix. You destroyed our relationship the moment you stole from me. I'm your mother. You keep saying that like it means something. Like it gives you permission to abuse and manipulate and steal. It doesn't. Being a parent is a responsibility, not a free pass to harm your children. I heard her start to cry. The familiar sound of her tears, the weapon she'd used on me my entire life. Cry until Sophia feels guilty. Cry until Sophia comes home. Cry until Sophia gives up what she wants to make mom feel better. But I was in Paris, an ocean away, sitting in a restaurant with a glass of wine and a future I'd built myself. The tears didn't work anymore. Goodbye, Vivian. Sophia, wait. I hung up, blocked the number, turned off my phone. The waiter appeared at my elbow. Is everything all right, mademoiselle? Yes, I said, and meant it. Everything is perfect. He smiled and refilled my wine glass. I finished my meal slowly, savoring every bite. When the check came, I paid with my own money I'd earned. Money no one could take from me. Then I walked home through the Paris night. Past glowing shop windows and bustling bistros. Past couples strolling hand in hand and groups of friends laughing over wine. My phone stayed off for the rest of the weekend. On Monday, 3 weeks after I'd arrived in Paris, Owen sent me an email with the subject line, "Settlement reached." I opened it with shaking hands. "Sophia, your mother's lawyer reached out Friday. She's agreed to return the full amount stolen, 847 to be exact. I made sure we got the interest too, close the investigation, and sign a legal agreement not to contact you. In exchange, you agree not to press criminal charges. I know you wanted justice, but this is better. You get your money back. She admits wrongdoing in writing, and you never have to deal with her again. The money will be wired to your new account this week. You won. Not the way you wanted, maybe, but you won." Owen read it 3 times. Vivian had caved completely. She'd rather pay nearly $20,000 than face the possibility of criminal prosecution, because prison would ruin her image, her reputation, her perfect life, and that told me everything I needed to know about her priorities. I wrote back, "Accept the settlement. And Owen, thank you for everything." His response came immediately. "You did this yourself. I just filed the paperwork. Now go live your life." That evening, I met Emily and 2 other colleagues for drinks at a wine bar in the Marais. We talked about work and art and politics. They asked about America. I asked about growing up in France. No one pried into my past or asked uncomfortable questions. I was just Sophia, the American associate, the art law enthusiast, the woman who'd moved to Paris to chase her dreams, not the daughter of Vivian Cross, not the girl who'd escaped. Just me, walking home that night, slightly tipsy and very happy. I passed the building where my apartment was and kept walking. I found myself at the Seine, looking out over the water. The Eiffel Tower sparkled in the distance, its early light show, turning the entire structure into something magical. I thought about that morning in my mother's kitchen, finding my torn ticket in the trash. How it had felt like the end of the world. How I'd been so scared and angry and lost. And then I thought about everything that had happened since. The confrontation, the graduation, the flight, the apartment, the job, the new life I was building, brick by brick. My phone buzzed. A text from Maya. "Excellent work on the Modigliani brief. You have real talent for this. Lunch tomorrow to discuss next steps?" Me. "I'd love that." Another text, this time from Damien. "Mom told us about the settlement. Dad's relieved. I'm proud of you. Maybe I'll visit Paris sometime." I stared at that for a long time, then wrote back, "Maybe. We'll see." It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was a door left slightly open. Because Damien hadn't stolen from me. He'd just been too caught up in his own privilege to notice what was happening. Maybe there was space for him in my new life. Eventually. On my terms. But my parents? That door was closed. Locked. The key thrown away. I turned off my phone and walked back to Rue des Rosiers. My street. My apartment. My life. 6 months later, on a cold November evening, I sat in a cafe near the office with Maya, reviewing contracts over espresso. "I've been thinking," Maya said, setting down her pen. "How would you feel about making this permanent? A full-time position after your internship ends. The partners have been impressed with your work." My heart jumped. "Seriously?" "Completely seriously. We'd sponsor your work visa naturally. You'd have full benefits, a salary increase, and the opportunity to take on your own cases. What do you say?" I looked around the cafe at the zinc bar, the checkered floor, the windows fogged with steam. At Paris, my city now, spreading out beyond these walls. "Yes," I said. "Absolutely yes." Maya smiled. "Good, because I've already started the paperwork. Welcome to the team, Sophia." That night, I called Owen. "So I'm staying in Paris," I said. "Permanently." "That's amazing. I'm so happy for you. How does it feel?" "Terrifying. Exciting." "Right. That's how you know you're on the right path." We talked for an hour about his cases, about my work, about his new boyfriend, about the life I was building. When we finally hung up, I sat at my desk by the window and pulled out my journal. I'd been keeping one since arriving in Paris, recording everything, the good days and the hard days, the moments of joy and the moments of doubt. Proof that this was real, that I was really here. November 15, I wrote. 6 months in Paris. Permanent job offer accepted. I'm staying. Sometimes I think about my mother. Wonder if she's changed, if she's sorry, if she misses me. But mostly I don't think about her at all. I think about the Matisse exhibit I saw last week. The case I'm building for a family trying to recover their grandfather's stolen paintings. The French film I watched at the cinema near Place de la République. Following along with the subtitles and understanding more than I expected, I think about the woman I'm becoming, confident, capable, independent. The woman I was always meant to be. My mother tried to clip my wings. She tried to keep me small and scared and dependent. But she failed, because here I am, an ocean away, building a life she can never touch. And that's the best revenge of all, not anger or bitterness, but joy, success, freedom, living well. I closed the journal and looked out at the Paris night. Somewhere across the Atlantic, Vivienne Cross was probably still plotting how to get me back, still insisting she'd done nothing wrong, still playing the victim. But that was her prison now, not mine. I'd left, I'd survived, I'd thrived, and I was never going back.